This is chapter 6 and the last video of this online course. I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, in this part of the course, I will be showing you how to import data into the second tool that is called Tableau. The first thing you can do is to head over to Tableau public, either search for Tableau public or head over to public.tableau.com. And this is completely free. You can just create a free account and download the software for either, if you're using Mac or Windows PC, you should be able to download the software and install it in your computer. Now, for the sake of time, I will skip the installation process. It's pretty straightforward. And after you install the software, we're gonna launch Tableau. And for this tutorial, we will be using the same database that I showed in this course. Okay, once you open Tableau Public, this is the first screen that you are going to see. Of course, the first step in importing your data or starting your visualization is to connect your file. Now you see a bunch of options here. You can connect a Microsoft Excel file, a text file like a CSV, comma separated values format, a JSON file if you have it in Microsoft Access, or even a PDF file, and some other types of files that you can import or connect to Tableau. And there are some other advanced options to connect to a server, which you probably won't have enough time to cover in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and select text file here. And I selected a portion of our database just to make the data processing faster for the sake of this tutorial, but feel free to try to import the entire database or just a portion of it to practice what you have or practice your Tableau skills. Once you import the data into Tableau, you should be able to right away see the data columns. You can explore the data as we showed before, like the pickup and drop off locations, as well as the dates and time. And there's something else here, that for each of these values, you see that the Tableau is automatically detecting the type of the value. For example, if it's a numerical number or a measure, it shows here. Or if it's a categorical value, such as pickup and drop off date and time, it'll show it as a string or a text. But if any of these value types are not correct, you can just easily select or click on this icon here and change to any other types of values that you see here. Also, these globe icons shows the location data, like the latitude and longitude here, and we're going to show later on how we are going to use this type of data in our database. Once we have our data connected, that we are going to go ahead and continue to sheet 1. This is similar to Microsoft Excel, that you can create multiple sheets and you can combine them in dashboards here, which I'm going to show you later on. So once you open the data sheet, you see a list of your values here separated by measures. These are the measures or the numerical values, and then we have the categorical values at the top here. To get started with the first visualization, we're going to take a look at, let's say, if there is any correlation between the trip distance and the tip amount, or if there's any correlation between the trip distance and the fare amount. To do that, you just simply drag and drop any of these values either on rows or columns here, or you can just drag them and drop them up here, either for rows or columns. So let's go ahead and select trip distance as columns, and first thing you see right away is that the default, when you bring any of these values, the default is that Tableau is creating a sum of these values as a measure here. The total of all the trip distances that you have in your database. Now, one thing you can do is you can just click over here, and this is all the statistical values that you can change. You can change it to variance, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, count, average, median, and so on. But what we want, we actually want our dimensions to show here. And when you change that, you can see the actual numerical values or the actual values for that specific dimension. So that's for columns, and then for the rows, we are going to explore the correlation between the tip amount and the trip distance. So go ahead and drag and drop the tip amount into rows. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Again, you see the sum of values here, but we are going to change that to dimensions here. There are some other options here that you can change your measures from continuous values to discrete values, or show filters that I'm going to show you later on how to use filters for your data. So once we change that to dimensions, you can see your first data visualization here, and it's a scatter plot showing the correlation between the trip distance and the tip amount. This is somehow what we expected, that for longer trip distances, the tip amount might be also larger. And for some of these trips, there's no tip. So that's why you see a bunch of zeros here. We can definitely filter these out, but I'm going to show you how to change the properties of your graph here. One thing you can change right away is, or you can add actually other values to your graph here. For example, if you want to add the total fare or the fare amount as different colors or as a third dimension to your graph, you can just drag and drop the fare amount into colors here, and it'll change your graph color scheme. But the only thing is that there's still the default values, the sum of values. You need to go back and change that to dimensions. And once you have that, when you hover over any of these data points, you see a tooltip that shows the fare amount, tip amount, and also the trip distance. You can change what you want to include in the tooltip by clicking over any of your data categories, and there's an option here that says include in tooltip. If you remove that, obviously you can remove that specific value from your tooltip. If you're not happy with the color choice here, you can just select color, edit colors, and there are a bunch of options here. Let's go ahead and select this one. There are a lot of settings here, advanced settings that you can explore. The other thing is that you can change the size of the markers here, and if you're not happy with the type of mark, you can change that to any of these types of markers. For example, if you want to show it as a pie chart, or instead of points or circles, you can use a bar chart, a line chart, an area chart. So let's go back to circles. There are a bunch of different settings here that you can play with, and every time you drag and drop a specific value into Tableau or into the graph area, there are a couple of suggestions here based on the type of your data. You see Tableau is suggesting that you can, for example, use a scatter plot or Gantt plot. If you want to choose the Gantt plot, you can see that the distribution of each of these categories, like the fare amount, tip amount, and so on, can be plotted as a Gantt plot. And I'm going to show you how you can show your geolocations or geographical data on a map. So this time, instead of any other numerical values, we're going to drag and drop the pickup latitude here, and as well as the longitude. And again, by default, it is showing the average of these values. So we're going to change that to dimension. That's the first thing that we want to do. Both of them to dimension. And right away you can see that you can see a map here. If you want to move your map, just select the move option from here, and you should be able to move your map here. And you can easily just zoom in or zoom out. Since we know that most of our data is from New York City area, we're going to zoom in here, and the tooltip for now just shows the latitude and longitude, but you can definitely add other dimensions to your map here. Now let's see in what areas the tip amount are larger, or the total fare, the fare amount is larger. What we can do is just select the fare amount, drag it, and drop it into color. Change that to dimension, and right away you should be able to see now there's a third category in our tooltip that shows the fare amount, and by location. Now that you are on a map, you can change the type of information you want to show. And again, we're going to click on the colors, change this to, I usually prefer this one, the temperature diverging. We are going to use this one, the density. This is the one I like the most. It shows kind of the heat map of the category or the measure or the dimension that we selected. Let's go back and change the colors again. Okay, here we go. We can add other types of dimensions to these values here. I'm going to show you how to use the filters. So click on the dimension that you want to filter and select show filter. And by doing that, if I move this suggestion bar here, there's automatically a filter here that you can filter your data. For example, if you want to show only the fare amounts more than $71, for example, or let's go back, fare amounts more than $17. The next thing I wanted to show is how to create dashboard. Click on this icon at the bottom here, new dashboard, and once you're here, you see all of your sheets here. We have sheet 1, for example. We can just drag and drop it here, and right away you should be able to see this sheet and the same map that we just created in this dashboard. And when you have other types of information in your, if you have multiple sheets for multiple dimensions of your information, you can just bring them over. You should be able to split your screen between the two sheets that you just imported. You can select to have them as horizontal or vertical, and you can always change, move them around. This was just a quick tutorial to show you how to create a dashboard from multiple sheets. Of course, there are many other advanced options in Tableau that we won't have enough time to cover in this short tutorial, but this should give you a jump start to create your dashboard and import your data in Tableau. Thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. I hope you've learned something new in this course, and I will see you in the future courses.